Isolation is a common theme that occurs throughout a significant portion of the novel. In Frankenstein, one of the main causes of the monster's despair is isolation. After being created, Victor flees in terrors and abandons the newly created monster. After being rejected by its creator, the monster goes on to be rejected once again in a village. It is alienated for its horrific appearance and is forced to wander the world alone. It has no companions since Victor refused to create one. Victor also experiences isolation from his friends and family. While researching and working on the monster, he isolates himself and devotes himself entirely to his work. He disregards his health, and as a result, he slowly becomes a husk of his past, energetic and passionate self. After the death of William and Justine, he isolates himself once again due to the grief and guilt he feels for being responsible for their deaths. This occurs once again after the loss of Elizabeth, Clerval, and his father. Both the monster and Victor were isolated from society, whether it was because they chose to or because they were forced to. Isolation had severe effects on their psyches and was one of the main sources of their despair. Social isolation is an issue that is still very relevant in today's society. It is especially prevalent nowadays due to the COVID-19 pandemic that resulted in a worldwide quarantine. As a result, many people are forced to stay home with heavy restrictions placed outside to limit interaction between people. This has caused many people worldwide to become disconnected from society and isolated. Isolation for long periods of time leads to mental health issues. It has an undeniable link to higher levels of anxiety and depression. Another way that this issue endures today is through technology. Social media is one of the leading causes of the increase in mental health issues like depression in recent generations. It causes people to be less interactive with others. Social media is often used as a substitute for face-to-face interaction. People who do this begin to lose interest and dependence on real-life connections in favor of online ones. These online connections are often much weaker, leading to a lack of true companionship, which is essential for all human beings.
The thirst for knowledge and the power that comes along with it is a major theme throughout Frankenstein, with Victor's obsession regarding the secrets of life becoming the root to his downfall. This obsession of going beyond human limits led to him giving life to what we now know as the monster. Through the interactions with the monster, Frankenstein shows the overwhelming power of knowledge and how sensitive it can be. Though Victor's operation and utilization of his knowledge was successful, his abandonment of the monster led to not only Victor, but those around him as well, to spiral into a pit of despair. It reflects how Victor was incapable of understanding the gravity his knowledge had and the consequences that came along with it. While the thirst for knowledge and its consequences endures today. With the internet and its pool of information increasing as we speak, there's a variety of information that can be easily accessible to the general public. Any information that one needs is at the tip of their fingers, which though is beneficial also harbors many consequences for those who utilize it as well. Consequences of using the internet include cyberbullying, decreased focus, online extortion, loss of privacy, false information, and internet addiction. Another example is nuclear weaponry, which is the epitome of human research that was fueled by warfare and competition. One warhead can cause an insurmountable amount of damage, and if nuclear warfare would occur, the entire planet would be wiped. It shows how one's use of knowledge can have great consequences on the planet. So effects include mass destruction and death, large-scale displacement, long-term harm to human health and the environment, increased tensions between world superpowers, and increased responsibility for those who have them.
Overworking is the result of overcommitment to a certain activity or task. When one commits too much of their energy into one aspect of their life, it becomes overwhelming, which causes more harm than good. The most dangerous aspect of overworking is that people often do not know they are overworked until it is too late. This was seen in Frankenstein, for Victor was unable to realize that his work had overtaken his life until his work had been completed and his health had deteriorated. Additionally, overworking can be caused by an individual's ambition or by the pressure of their peers. So in this excerpt from Frankenstein, it is shown that the primary cause of Victor's overworking was his own obsession with breaking the boundary between life and death. For Victor, his occupation wasn't simply a day job, or even a devoted hobby. It was rather the very concept that swallowed up his life and pushed him towards physical and mental decline. It became his very being, and it clearly was not healthy for him. Shelley showed this through the nature of Victor's work. In order to complete his creation, Victor committed acts such as grave robbery. Not only was his practice unethical, but it was also illegal. She showed that Victor was so consumed by his work that he was even prepared to commit unethical actions to accomplish it. In today's world, competition is a large factor for overworking. We can see this as students at Oxford. Students are encouraged and even pressured to take the most rigorous courses available. and the environment can become a contest of who can work themselves the hardest. Doing so isn't a healthy practice, and it can often lead to burnout. A bit of healthy competition can inspire progress and excellence, but an excess of it brings out unhealthy behaviors.
It's almost near midnight. When I work in the office, little by little my body going to bad and feel pain in my heart. Little by little I could not breathe. Finally I fall down. But employee also, they so busy, they could not take care about me. Just go home. You can go home. Japanese society is everybody go running same way.
They cannot see the outside, living in a very closed, very small world. Only working is existing 19 hours or sometimes it's over 24 hours.
Around 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. I just pick up a taxi and going back to my home. And sleeping 30 minutes or 1 hour, then going back. Sometimes I had a nap in the bathroom so that I could not be found by my boss or colleagues.
Even when I finish the 11 p.m., I will get on the train again for 1 hour. But the situation is the same as the morning. All of us feel the stress. No one is waiting for me. The room is dark. Just sleeping without having dinner. And continue keeping the same day from next day.
As one can see from this video, overworking has numerous negative physical and mental effects. The pressure that people, as well as their peers, put on themselves to work until they cannot work anymore creates an environment that fosters stress and fatigue. Productivity can increase if we rather choose to find healthy alternatives to overworking. If we do so, we can avoid burnout and find more consistent and beneficial ways to accomplish our goals.
Criticisms of Frankenstein. The criticism that we had was that despite all that Victor went through, he seems to have reverted back to square one by the end of the novel, with the only thing really changing being the resentment of the monster evolving into a hatred for it. Another that we had was that Victor's decision to deny the monster's request for a companion by destroying the unfinished creation was cruel and unreasonable. Victor stated that he was bound by a solemn promise which he had not fulfilled and dared not to break, or if he did, what manifold miseries might not impend over him and his devoted family. Despite knowing full well what the consequences would be if he broke his promise, he decided anyways and brought ruin upon himself. Our final criticism is that the story is told purely through Victor's perspective, excluding the letters in the final chapter. As a result, we are not able to see the full picture since the story is told in a very biased point of view. We are unable to see the monster's perspective and are led to believe that it is the villain in the story, when in reality that may not be the case.
Positive critique of Frankenstein. Throughout the novel, Shelley is able to masterfully reflect the beneficial aspects of romanticism, while also being able to show the movement's imperfections. She shows that humans are not rational beings, but she also shows that irrationality can bring their own downfall. Additionally, Shelley deftly uses vivid imagery to paint her scenes and provide the reader with insight on thoughts, mood, and tones in her book. This was seen particularly through the description of Mont Blanc and other Swiss landscapes. Likewise, the themes that were chosen for the book have a significance relating back to problems that we're still facing today. Some of these themes include revenge and a lack of parental responsibility. They are universal themes and apply to everyone regardless of age or race.